I'm at 2101 Reardon Drive in Dayton, Ohio. We're doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. We're looking for any structural issues, root intrusion, basically anything that would be concerning to the buyer. The access location here is this clean out right in the front. It looks fairly new. See, there is the driveway. Here is the front of the, it's basically right in front of the front door. It may be cut down in the future. The cap has not been glued on yet, the cap fitting. But we're going to go both directions. It's a two-way clean out. So first we're going to go upstream and we're going to go back into the house. This looks like it is some clay, maybe some, this does look like clay pipe. And so we're going to check out the inside. We may have to go in and run some water in here. Try to make sure it's rinsed off, because now this does look like cast iron. So most likely this would have been cast iron going into clay, which usually means that, which is a normal combination of materials, but it's kind of hard to see. So probably what I'll do is I'll go all the way back, and then I'm going to run some water there. Should be all the way back in the main stack, and I'm going to go in so I can run some water in the back in the bathroom and let it flow through, and we can kind of witness that and see how the line looks. Okay, we do have the water on. That should help keep the lens rinsed off, but may have to also see if we can make it through there, because I want to be able to see a little bit better, and the water up against the front of it makes it a little difficult, but this is cast iron, which is normal. Now this may have been recently cleaned or descaled. So what I may have to do is, now that the water is, I'm going to go ahead and push all the way back, and we'll make sure that the lens is cleared off, and I'll go ahead and turn the water off. Because now that it's rinsed off, it should be fine, and we'll be able to see really well on the way back. Okay, so does look like the line is in really good shape for cast iron. Cast iron does rust, obviously, so it doesn't have a permanent lifespan, but it say roughly 75 years. But really what you're looking for here is to make sure there's no holes or any kind of major damage. This looks like it's actually holding shape really well. That is a branch coming in from probably the laundry there on the side, or the kitchen. So what I'll do here is I'm gonna actually push back up to that point, and then we'll run the kitchen and see if that comes in. I'm gonna go ahead and leave the line recording right now to see that. Should come in relatively quickly. And we'll see, this is either that or it's the laundry. And there we go. So that is the sink. We just want to make sure that the water coming from the kitchen sink is making its way through. That line is inaccessible, so we can't get the camera
to go that route. It doesn't. The camera lens, the camera itself, does not have a function where it can turn. So I want to make sure that the water's making its way through. But again, cast iron is something that to be a little more worried about. Soft clogs such as excessive toilet paper, wet wipes are a big issue. They should not be used. They say they're flushable. Even the ones that say they're flushable are not. They don't break down. Toilet paper is designed to disintegrate. If you run it under water, you can see that. And wet wipes don't do that. They may go down the pipe, but with cast iron, it's more susceptible to those things grabbing on the side of the pipe and causing those soft clogs I was talking about. And so normally toilet paper will disintegrate and just, break down and continue on down the line. Even if it catches on something, those wet wipes, stuff will build up behind it, and it's a bigger issue. So I always like to make note of that. The cast iron looks really good. Overall, it's got nice shape to it. There's not a bunch of channeling at the bottom or a bunch of debris buildup, which is great. And that's kind of what you're looking for. And then here we've dropped into the clay, which is a normal transition when it exits the house. This is what it would have been, is clay all the way out to the street. And so now, I see evidence of this clean out, but I don't know if anything else has been replaced or lined. But now we are vertical in the, I'll pull out of the clean out so you can see it. And now we're going to go downstream. We should have the water at our back now. We're going to go out towards the main. So as soon as we get out of the clean out, it does go into clay, which again is normal material for this age of house. The most common thing we see here, which we have, is root intrusion. So that may have been why this clean out was installed in the first place, was to be able to get in there to clean out these roots. And so starting here at 15 feet, it does really have a little bit of root intrusion. It wasn't major. It's not fully obstructing flow or anything. And here is another pretty big curtain of tree roots. Now I'm poking a hole in it with my camera. It's not super heavy, but this is definitely going to need a cleaning. There's a lot of roots starting at about 15 feet on this video. It looks like it's possibly holding water. A lot of times I can poke through with my camera and hopefully we can get this to drain down, but we're getting closer and closer to the, you can see the water coming through behind me, and that's kind of what I've done, is poke a hole in it. And so, starting at about 15 feet, looks like hopefully what will happen is this stuff will drain out because I've kind of poked a hole in the roots. But I'd say we're getting very close to some backups here with the amount of roots that are in this line. If done well, see, here's another clean out. See all that water rushing out from behind it. So what I'm going to do too is I'll turn off that line. But here's another clean out out by the street. And so I may end up being able to locate that. Maybe that was put in by the city. We're going to try to go all the way out to the main. Some root intrusion at about every connection. Be getting close, and there we are at the main, 77 feet. So line looked like it was in pretty good shape structurally. Like, I didn't see anything that was real concerning as far as the structure of the line, but there is a lot of roots, and so it will need to be at least cleaned. And this is something that will probably continually need to happen. Regular maintenance is pretty normal for old clay lines like this. The roots get in at the connections. There's basically 3-foot sections of pipe, and in those 3-foot sections, every 3 feet you have another connection, and so the problem there is there's just a lot of opportunity. Over this many years of use, what happens is the line the packing at the joints kind of breaks down or shrinks a little bit, and so you start getting root intrusion. And of course, with water and fertilizer in one place, the tree roots are gonna keep coming back. And so I was able to push my camera through it, luckily, but mainly, this will definitely need a cleaning. Probably from about 15 feet. Trying to make sure I can get this camera, keep the camera clean, but looks like it's pretty good out at the end here. It's about 15 feet out to about 53 feet here. There's some pretty major root intrusion along that stretch. They do all look like they're getting in at connections. As you can see.
So a good cleaning, an initial cleaning, with a 4-inch double knife, can definitely get rid of these. And then if you do a periodic cleaning or periodic chemical treatment, something like Rudex, once you've got it cleaned and you're starting from fresh, what you could do is do a root treatment about once a year, and at that point, once a year or so, you do a root treatment, and it should help keep it kind of foams up and attaches to the roots and kind of burns them back a little bit, so it keeps them from growing fully, closing the pipe. But I usually recommend doing that once a year, having an initial cleaning, doing it once a year, doing the chemical treatment once a year, and then in about 5 years having it scoped again and kind of checking the root growth to see if the maintenance schedule needs to be adjusted at all, or if there's anything else that may need to be done. I'm going to turn the water off real quick, so that way hopefully it'll drain down a little bit and we can see how well it's drained down since we poked a hole in that little bit of roots. Okay, we've got the water off.
And so based off of having to poke a hole in this with my camera, it probably wasn't too far off of this becoming a situation where the line would have backed up probably into the bathtub soon. I'm going to stop right here in this little section where they've installed a clean out and locate it and see if it's uncovered. Or if not, I'll be able to. We're going to pause the video one more time and see if the water drains down a little bit also. Okay, so did find the clean out. I went ahead and I'll mark it with a green flag. I couldn't fully uncover it. This is a small amount of water, so it's not a big deal here. But I did find that clean out. Looks like it had been installed previously.
But it looks like the worst amount of roots are right here at 33 feet. You can see how heavy that is. But it looks like some of the line was replaced. Here's another pretty bad spot. 27 and 33, but these are close enough that you can see how I have left a hole, and so it should be draining, but it was getting very close to backing up into the house. Probably would have backed up into the tub. And so it is something that will need to be cleaned, pretty quickly, just at least before occupancy, so that make sure you don't have any recent backups. But the worst spots here are 27 and about 33 feet. But essentially 50, out to 53 feet from about 15 feet in. It's pretty bad, but you can see how all this has drained since I poked a hole in it. There's probably another section. Yep, here's another section at 24. And so about every 3 feet in this area, which is really close to the tree, the outskirts of that tree. So, yeah, there's another one. This was coming really, really close to backing up. So, I mean, it's a good thing that it was caught now. And so that it didn't back up right after moving in. You can see there's another one here at 15 feet, and I believe this is kind of where it starts. Right about there, about 15 feet is where a lot of the roots start, because it's where you're kind of getting into that level where the you're at the drip edge of the tree. 15 feet on the It's 15 feet on the camera, but it's really only about 7 feet from the bottom of the clean out. But the measurement as a reference on the camera is based off of the rotation of the drum of the camera, so it's it's just there for reference on the video. But yeah, from 15 feet out to about 53 feet, there's a lot of roots, obviously from the tree out by the street. I don't know if so this is, you can get it cleaned, but as long as that tree is there, it's going to continue to grow into the line. Looks like there was a clean out added years ago that has been covered over with grass out by the street, and then you have this one that looks more recent, and so they probably didn't know that there was one out by the street. So I'm going to put a flag over top of the one out there that's covered up, just so you have it for reference. But obviously the main issue here is all the tree roots, so I'm going to recommend a cleaning. Clean out, get all the roots out, hopefully with a 4-inch double knife, get it all cleaned out really well before taking occupancy. And then you'll have to probably do some chemical treatments about once a year for the first 5 years or so is what I would do, and then have a follow-up inspection done then in about 5 years, and just kind of check how how the roots are growing, and adjust the maintenance schedule as necessary. But it looks like structurally the line has stayed intact. It's just everything's getting in at the connections that have the packing has kind of shrunk down and allowed the roots to get in. So, but I think it looks like it's been dug up twice to add cleanouts for previous cleanings. So it's a pretty common issue to have. Probably most of this neighborhood is similar, but just needs to be cleaned and maintained, and should be good to go. But that'll end the inspection for 2101 Reardon Drive in Dayton, Ohio.